Today's book is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl. I was very much shocked by this book. This is a book that I'd read 10, 15 pages of already, and I just put it down and I was like, I'm not going to like this. And you know what, a few months later, I told myself I was actually going to pick it up. Once I got 20 pages in, I'm like, this is something. There's something in here. And the overall premise of the book is finding meaning in the spite of everything telling you to give up. In spite of everything in the world being so awful, so evil that like you just want to give in, just finding the good in that, finding the meaning in that, finding the purpose in that. And the first 90 pages of this book is where this book really shines. The later half is really his psychological work. He calls it logos therapy, and basically just finding meaning in different concepts, in different predicaments, in different issues. But don't get me wrong, it's very interesting, but I think the most interesting part is Viktor Frankl's actual experience in the concentration camps in Nazi Germany. And it's very horrific to hear a personal experience. It's very horrific to hear like how the individual views it. Like a lot of times when we think about war, a lot of times when we think about tragedy, we like to talk about statistics. We like to talk about numbers. We like to talk about the sheer amount of human suffering. But when you bring it back down to the individual, when the individual can paint a picture and show you that like, this is what I went through, and you can see yourself through that lens, it really tells you how horrific the events are. But several moments of this book really stick out because he was calling a Schopenhauer idea. Schopenhauer idea is like taking your mind off suffering just for a few moments, and those moments are so meaningful. Those moments are so personal, and like Frankl's talking about like certain days where he wasn't forced to work, certain days where he could just lie on a wooden board and fall asleep because he didn't have to, work in the cold. He didn't have to do mindless labor. He didn't have to go do something, and like appreciating that more than he ever could appreciate anything. And the real lessons in this book are just like, no matter what you're going through, someone's gone through something worse. Someone has gone through something so unimaginable, and like to think that whatever you're going through can't be overcome is purely wrong. It purely is. Like whatever you're going through, like there is somebody in this world, there's somebody that would die to be in your situation, and it's all about putting things into perspective. Like, what are the little things you can cling on each day that bring you happiness, that bring you joy? What are the things that are worth pushing for? What are the things that really, really make it all worth it in the end of things? And I really was shocked about how much I liked this book and how much it really stuck with me, because I'm not someone that likes to read history. I'm not someone that likes to read about tragedy. I don't really like to fill my head with those ideas. Lord knows the world is bad enough. Lord knows that all the news is telling you is negative. But I really like this book because it found the positivity in the tragedy. It found some good in some absolute evil things. It reframed things in your mind to give you the response to whatever you're dealing with in life. And it truly is an inspiring work about the perseverance of the human spirit. And I think this is something that is so short that everyone should pick up, because I'm not even gonna lie. Like I was like, I'm just gonna brute force my way through this book, and it ended up just being, I read it out of pure enjoyment. I read it because I couldn't put it down, and it's been a very long time since I've said that about a book. It's been a very long time since I've read it and been like, I love every word of it. Versus like most books I read, I'll be super interested in one part, but then the next I'm like, I just want to get back to the other stuff. I want to get back to the interesting stuff. Like this is a boring point, but to have someone that goes through something so intense, so awful, and be so hopeful, it really just shows you the power of humanity, the power of spirit, and the ability to turn everything bad in your life to good. Because while Viktor Frankl went through some of the worst atrocities known to man, his family died, everything around him was just flipped on its head. He lived in basically a prison work camp that was a 1 in 28 survival rate. Like, he experienced all of these things, and he still was hopeful. He still had faith. He still clinged on to some purpose, some meaning, and it's just clinging on to these things for long enough to wait for things to get better, where all of the good comes from. And it's like, I don't know how anyone could read this book and ever be sad again, because that's the power in it. It's truly an amazing book. I really want you to pick this up, especially if you've been feeling down, because you can't read this book and hear the events that happened and say, wow, my life is hard. And that's the beauty of this book. Through the biggest, greatest tragedy, we are given the greatest example of the power of the human mind, the power of faith, of the power of persistence, and of the power of turning your life from bad to good through your own mind. If this didn't make you want to pick up this book, I don't know what else will. But yeah, I will link this book in the description. This is something that I think pretty much everyone should read. Just simply, it's tremendous. It really is. It really is. It's one of those books that like says over 60 million copies sold. When a book is that popular, it's usually cookie cutter. It's usually nonsense. It's usually not worth the read. When you have books that are this deep that get that much recognition, like it's definitely something worth checking out. But yeah, with that said, link will be in the description to this. On top of that, if you want to join my Discord, go ahead, do that. On top of that, if you want my own writings, if you want my own philosophy, if you want my own perspective on things, go ahead, join my school. I'm writing things every day, updating it every day. Yeah, can't wait to see you guys there. Peace out. I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you guys so much for the support recently. It's been crazy. Yeah, bye.